What's up, everybody? Welcome to Bucs Bounty. I'm Michael McKenry. I'm with a special guest today, Joe B. What is up, Mr. Beimel? It's good to have you. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. How about yourself, man?
I'm doing outstanding. I love that hat, by the way. I didn't get to tell you off air. You always have a sick hat game, and you have the best voice in the league. Period.
Well, yeah, it's no label. Uh, I just have a
Perfect.
problem with hats where like my head is so big. It's not like necessarily like an eight, circumference, but it's like long. So I can't find hats that really fit me. So if people pass out hats and they're always for people with tiny heads. So I can never wear them. So I ended up finding like this hat. I'm like, all right, perfect. This works, but I don't have anything to put on it, so we just go with the blank camo.
But I think it's perfect for you, just having the blank camo, to be honest. So first off, thanks for coming on. I'm looking forward to this. Have been for a while now, but I want to go all the way back to the beginning. Where little Joe B came up, running out to God's Gonna Cut You Down as a little kid. When did you fall in love with the game and kind of have an idea that, hey, I want to do this for a living one day?
Very young, like I feel like I was brainwashed by my dad because I was left-handed. He was just like, "Hey, you're left-handed. Like you should play in the big leagues. Everyone always needs left-handed pitching." So, at a young age, I just loved baseball. Played t-ball at like 4 years old. Grew up in a real small town in Kersey, Pennsylvania. Just like 2.5 hours northeast of Pittsburgh. Um, but yeah, I mean, I watched the game. I love the game. Um, and like I said, my dad was super supportive, and he was always going out with me to hit and throw and do everything that he could and teach me everything that he knew about the game. So yeah, it was pretty young, I think, when I actually my parents can tell you the story, but I think I was 4 or 5, and I just came out and said, "Hey, I'm gonna like play in the big leagues someday." And that's all it took for them to be like, "Yeah, sure, absolutely."
Yeah, why
And
not?
yeah, that's cute when you're 4 years old, but then when you're, you know, 18 or 20 and you're saying the same thing, it people are usually like, well, you got to grow up, like everybody thinks they're going to play in the big leagues at 4 years old. But I just kept that belief and just had a good support system around me with my family and friends. And, um, it's crazy when you think back and think of how things unfolded and watch, the way your life ends up when you're in your 40s. And I could never have imagined the way that it would turn out, and I'd play as long as I did. But that's just all part of it. I think if you don't have that belief, it's really hard to make it.
Yeah, I would say I believe it ended up being a 17-year career. So I think you did okay.
Yeah, well, I played 21 years professionally.
17
Um,
big league seasons.
13,
How
I
about
think
that?
13 in the big leagues. But like, yeah,
Parts of
it's just
17? I'm going to give you as many as possible here
well, I mean, I'll
because,
take it. I don't.
yeah,
I'd have to look it
yeah,
up.
yeah, I did look it
I know
up.
I have like
So,
11 years on the dot service time.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
um, but yeah, I mean, it was just a fun ride. And recently, I was down in Pittsburgh, went to a game, and took my family down there, and um, I was on the field, during BP, and I was taking like some videos and pictures and stuff like that, and I had so many people like, "Oh my gosh, do you miss it? Like, did you feel like you were back playing?" And the funny thing for me is like I do not miss playing baseball whatsoever. And
You got it out of
I
your
feel
system.
like I'm like one of the very few because
Yeah.
I feel like I got to play for a long time, and I got to kind of retire when I wanted to. Not necessarily when I wanted to, there are very few of us that get to just like decide when you're going to retire. But with that being said, I was just when I was done playing, I was done. And I do not miss playing at all. Like I was not standing on that field going, "Man, I wish I was out there like
Mm.
shagging and taking BP and doing all this stuff." um, because it's just not, it's not the way that I am. And I, I got to play for a long time and very grateful of that. But like, I don't want to freaking play anymore. Like that. I mean, as you know, like that freaking grind is just a different animal. And when you get a little older, you just don't want to be out there and doing that stuff. So for me, it was really cool to have my two younger sons on the field.
Mm,
They really enjoyed it. And I say this all the time too. My wife, Carly, I think she misses me playing more than I do because she just loved, loved
yeah.
hanging out with all the wives, girlfriends, and players and stuff like that. But for me, I'm just like, no, I didn't. It literally felt like I had done it for so many times and so long. And being on the field, you would think is like super cool, but it just felt like another day. So yeah, I'm so happy to be where I'm at now and not have to travel and do all that stuff.
I will second that 100 times over. Amen. Amen. Mine's probably for a different reason. We'll get into that, but let's go back to high school. St. Mary's area high school in PA. 4-star athlete. You're like Jackie Robinson, bro. Like you just play everything. Talk about
I
that and
did.
talk about that importance for you going forward. And then I have to ask at the end, did you think you were going to hit in the big leagues or did you always know you're going to just be a left-handed dominant pitcher?
Well, yeah, I mean, I loved all sports. Like growing up, I knew baseball was going to be my path. And like I said, the only reason I knew that because I'm pretty sure I got brainwashed by my father. But like
Sick.
I wrestled at a really young age. I had an older brother who was a really good wrestler, so I wanted to wrestle. By from
How'd that
watching
go?
him, I was pretty freaking good.
I would imagine so.
Like
Yeah.
I
What
was
was your weight
actually known
class?
in my area as a wrestler, not a baseball player.
What?
So, I grew up really good at wrestling. Went into high school. My junior year, I went to states in Pennsylvania, and then came back my senior year, and I was ranked like third in the state. And probably at some point in high school, I think it was maybe late middle school, like eighth grade, I just didn't really love it anymore. And if you know anything about wrestling, it's tough. It's a tough sport, a lot of discipline. And it's just you one on one against somebody else. So there's no like, you know, you lose a game or something in baseball or football and it's a team thing. When you lose in wrestling, like you got your butt kicked. And it's very evident that you
Yeah.
lost. You
Yeah.
can't blame it on anybody else. Um, so I just didn't really love it. And I always wanted to play basketball. Like I had a bunch of friends and a bunch of buddies, and they all played basketball. I was kind of the only one in my friend group or whatever that wrestled. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to play basketball my senior year. So I went into my senior year ranked third in the state in wrestling, and I played basketball. And the wrestling coach was not happy, and a lot of people weren't happy. But at that, I didn't want to be sitting here at 49 years old and go, man, I wonder what it would have been like if I would have played
Yeah.
basketball.
Good for you.
So I did that my senior year. I had a great time and don't regret that whatsoever. But, like I said, I wrestled, I played football. I loved football, like loved football. Football is probably my favorite sport as much fun as I had playing it.
Mm.
Um, and then, like I said, I played basketball my senior year, and baseball was I just always knew that that's what I was going to do. Um, and, you know, in high school, I was good, but I wasn't necessarily like the greatest player. I mean, I was great for my area and great, in our district and conference and stuff like that. But I would imagine if you would have watched me play in high school, you wouldn't have been like, hey, this guy's going to play like, you know, 21 years professionally or whatever, going to make it to the big leagues. I don't think that that's probably what you would have thought. But I believed it. So
Yeah, it's all that
at the end
matters.
of the day, that's all that matters. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Um, what was the second part to that question?
Did you kind
Sorry,
of answered it? Did
it's
you
early
always know
here.
you're going to be a left-handed? Oh, about hitting. Did you
Oh
love to
yeah,
hit? Every
hitting.
pitcher loves hitting, and I think it's hilarious. I know you had a love for getting hitters out, but did you love hitting as well?
Oh, I loved hitting.
I knew
Loved
it.
it. Still
Yeah,
do.
of course.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I did. I think I might be the only person on this podcast that has hit 300 in the big leagues. I don't know.
Nope. Nope. I did. 14. 14. I did
Did
it.
you?
Yeah.
Oh,
I did. Yeah.
geez. So there's
Yeah.
two of us.
There's two of us.
Awesome,
I
man.
don't
We're in
think
the
our
same.
producer did. Belsky didn't. Did you, Belsky? No. No.
He probably
So,
didn't.
hey,
Yeah, I don't think he did.
that's a very small group of people right there, baby. Let's
Yeah, that's
go.
right. That's right. And I say that all the time. And people are like, oh, what? What'd you go? 1 for 3? I'm like, no, 1 for 3 is not 300. That's 333. Like, what are you talking about?
Exactly.
So I
Yeah.
was 3 for 10 in
Let's
2002,
go.
you know. And I always say, to back it up, I always say, well, my rookie year, I only hit like 270, you
Oh, so you
know.
got better.
Yeah. So rookie year, I hit 270 and then hit 300 my second year. And then I actually only got like, I don't know, less than 10 at bats the rest of my career because those were the only 2 years I started. But funny thing, I love this story too, is in 2003, I was in Atlanta and I had pitched both games of a doubleheader, you know, so I was
Of
down the
course.
next day and I'm sitting in the bullpen and they call down and they're like, and the bullpen coach goes, Beimel. And I'm like, what? Like they told me I was down, like I pitched both games of doubleheader yesterday. And they're like, no, no, no. You have to go in. You're pinch hitting this inning for the pitcher. So
Because
I
you
come
rake.
jogging in from the freaking bullpen. I was like, oh,
Were
this
you
is so
floating
sweet.
in? Yeah.
Yeah. I felt so good. And then I end up striking out anyways. But
It's really
uh,
hard.
it
It's
was
really
pretty
hard.
cool to get called
Yeah.
in from the bullpen to pinch hit. So I was able to hit. You know, and my take on hitting, I knew I was a pitcher, so I didn't go up there and think like I'm the greatest hitter, like I'm gonna freaking hit a bomb. Um, but as a pitcher and pitching to pitchers, I knew like, hey, if I throw a first pitch fastball and I get like a part of the plate, this guy's hacking out of his shoes and he's gonna, you know, he's swinging as soon as he sees a fastball. So you know, first pitch, I would always get like an outer third or something like that. So as a pitcher hitting, I'm like, all right, this guy he's not gonna give me anything first pitch because he thinks I'm swinging. So I would take first pitch all the time. And if I got to like 1-0, then I was like, all right, he doesn't want to go 2-0 to me. So this ball is going to be on the plate and I'm just going to freaking take a hack. So I would just always auto take, you know, first pitch.
Yeah.
And if I
So it
got to
looked like
1-0,
you knew what you're
I was
doing
just
too. You're
like,
like,
yeah, I was just like, oh my God, 1-0. And that's usually when I got my hits because I just knew it was coming. I knew it was going to be on the plate. And then if you threw me something else that was not a fastball 1-0, I like spin myself into the freaking dirt, swing and miss. So I wasn't like a great hitter by any means, but I'd like to think I was kind of a smart hitter for being a pitcher.
I
And
love it.
then when I
Love it.
retired the first time in 2017, I came back to my hometown and I played on like a Federation League team that summer. My cousin was coaching and I had a couple cousins, couple nephews on the team. So got to play with them. But the only reason I played is because I'm like, I want to hit. Like, I don't want to pitch. Like, I pitched a couple games, but I'm like, I just want to hit, play first base. So we were like in the actual playoffs of this league. And I freaking hit a bomb and there was a school behind the fence, freaking hit a window in the school, shattered it
Yes. Let's
as I'm like
go.
rounding first base. Yeah,
It's
it
like
was
the
a
natural.
great feeling. But
Yeah.
so the answer to your question is yes, I loved hitting. Still do, but haven't done in a while.
Let me
But
ask you
yeah,
this:
man.
Do you remember a pitcher you faced? I know it's not a ton of them. And they threw you some pitch, and you're just like, "What is that? How do I hit that?" Do you remember a pitch like
Oh yeah,
that?
I mean, I faced John Smoltz,
Oh,
and he threw me a slider, and I I like took the pitch, and I looked, and I was like, no, that's like way out. And the next thing I know, I was like doing this, freaking almost hit me like on the inside corner. And I was just like, what was that? Like, how does anyone hit that thing? Um, but then, then years later, I was facing a guy, Sean Gallagher.
oh yeah.
Yeah, I think he played for the Pirates for a little bit, but um, I was facing him. He was in San Diego, and he's only throwing like 88, 89, but I hadn't seen like a live pitch in so long. And he freaking throws it, and that thing was by me. I looked up on the scoreboard and it said like 89. I'm like, oh my God, I have no chance. So those were the two times I was hitting and just like, nah, I got no chance to do this.
So I have one major league at bat. I'm gonna get this out of the way. If one major league at bat against you, caught you, multiple teams. I think maybe even faced you in the minor leagues. I'm not sure. Do you remember that one at bat and what happened?
I don't. Did I walk you?
Yes, you did. It was a 10 pitch at bat. Do you remember what happened right after that?
I absolutely do. That's the only thing
Go
I
ahead.
remember.
Go ahead, because I have this picture. I have this picture at my house, and I laugh at it every time. I literally framed it because I think it's the funniest thing ever. So 10 pitch at bat. I walk. You're looking at me. I'm looking at you. I'm kind of giggling a little bit because you threw some nasty pitches. Somehow I fouled them off. I get to first base, take my lead, and what happens after that?
Well, I picked you off, but not just like a
Not a
pick
little bit.
off. Yeah, you were like looking at home plate when I threw it over,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that was funny.
Yeah. It was funny. I'll never forget
Well,
it. The
one,
first
because
baseman
I
came
knew
to
you
me and
weren't
tagged
stealing.
me. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew
But
you
that was
weren't
the worst
stealing
part.
by any means, but for myself, when I was younger, people always say, "Well, you can't like learn how to throw 95. It's God given." Now, I train people to try and get them to throw 95 plus, whatever. So I know that you can learn how to throw 95. But back in the day, it was like if you threw hard, it's because it was God given, and um, you just had that. You were blessed with that. But so I would say, like, I can't teach myself how to throw 95, but I can teach myself like a good pickoff move.
Oh, it's
So
disgusting.
being a left-hander, there was like for me no excuse to not have a good pickoff move. So I worked on it a lot when I was younger. I worked on it in the big leagues. I had some good coaches along the way, like Maury Wills with the Dodgers. He would take all the left-handers, in spring training and just work with us on our moves. And learned Rusty Kuntz, who was a first base coach with the Pirates. He's really good with that stuff. So I just picked up things along the way to make it that much better. And I just used it as like a tool and like as a weapon because let's face it, I wasn't striking a lot of people out. So if you got on base, I wanted to be able to, pick you off, whether you were going to steal or not. So I remember that like in Colorado, and man, I love Colorado. I love Denver. I love that
Uh-huh.
stadium. Most pitchers don't, but I always pitched well there, and playing there, loved it. But yeah, you're on first base after that at bat, and I was just like, well, let me just try this. Let's see if I can pick him off.
Oh,
Like
so
he just
good.
had a long ass freaking at bat. So I'm gonna pick over, and like I threw over, and you were like literally looking at the batter, and the ball was in the first baseman's glove,
Yeah.
and
I remember looking at the
it
first
was
baseman
hilarious.
and he looks at me and then he walks over and tags me and I'm like, Uncle, Uncle.
Yeah,
Yeah. I have the picture of me looking so defeated, like arms down, kind of like shrugged over, like, no way. No way he got me. It was so good.
that's
Yeah.
hilarious.
That's just pure respect.
It's time to get rough. It's time to get loud.
is what that is. Pure respect. So I'm going to go back to college. So out of high school, 4-star athlete, awesome wrestler. You go to junior college, and I believe you played 1 year at Duquesne. I'm trying to put it all together. I
Yeah.
read all this about a week ago. How did that go? How did that transition you into pro ball when you got drafted in '98? Just talk a little bit about that college. I love the college sport right now. College baseball is probably one of my favorites, even more than professional, because the kids still are so malleable. They want to learn, and also the fact that like the energy in it, right? These dudes just have
Yeah.
enthusiasm and everything else. So talk about your college career.
Yeah. So I went to, didn't really have a lot of offers out of high school.
Is that
I
because the
had one
area you think?
offer. Yeah. And like I said, I mean, I went to, I grew up in a small area, but I went to like Legion was huge back then, American Legion. And in Pennsylvania, they had this all-star game where, um, you go like to this tryout and they had a bunch of scouts and different things, and they would pick these guys. You move on to the next round. And the all West game was at Three Rivers at the time. So I went down, I got picked for that, went down there, played, pitched really well. And I was laughing with one of my buddies recently because he went down to watch me and he's sitting behind where like all the scouts are. And, he's looking at the radar gun and he's like, he comes back and tells my dad, "Oh my gosh, Joe just hit 87." Like back then, like 87 was freaking
Just
throwing
fuzz.
fuzz, especially for a left-hander, and
Yeah.
I knew I had to be like 89, 90 to get like drafted as a lefty. Just different time, right? Like now, geez, we see kids every day throwing like 87. You're like, well, buddy, you got to throw a little bit harder than that. You're not even going to get D1 offers
It's
throwing
wild.
87. So, uh, I ended up throwing there, threw really well, and I got picked to go to the East-West game. So that's like eastern and western part of Pennsylvania together, and we played a game in Harrisburg at the Senators Stadium. So got picked for that, but even doing that, like really didn't have anyone that wanted to, give me a scholarship or sign me. Um, I did have Liberty University in Lynchburg, and I went there for a visit. And I don't know if Liberty's still like this, but it was super strict with like different things. Like you couldn't listen to any like secular music. You could only listen to like Christian and classical, and music at that point was like my freaking life. So I was just like, I don't think I
You're
could
like, no
survive
way.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember we went I was with the baseball team while I was there, and we went to see a movie. It was like an R-rated movie, and they were like, "Hey, like if anyone sees us here, we could get in big trouble for like going to an R-rated movie." And I'm like, "Oh my God, I don't think I can come here." So I left that visit and told my parents, like, "There's no way I'm going to Liberty. Like I'm not the Liberty kind of guy. All right, so I don't think I'll survive." So I ended up, because I went to that East West All Star game, there was a guy from the scouting bureau there. And he's like, "Hey, I don't think you're going to get drafted this year, but you're pretty close. So if you want to play professionally, I would suggest like going to a junior college because you can get drafted after your freshman year. You don't got to wait 3 years." So I went to this smaller junior college in Maryland and ended up getting drafted my freshman year by the Texas Rangers in like the 26th round. Things just didn't work out. I wanted to sign, but I mean, I think they were offering me like $3,000 or something. So I was like, I'll wait. We'll go back to school. So I went back my
Yeah.
sophomore year. Didn't get drafted that year, even though I had a way better year.
That's
And
wild. Why
then
do you think that
transferred to
is?
Duquesne. What's that?
Why do you think that is? That's weird.
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know if like velocity was down or what the deal was. And I say this all the time. Even I kids that we train. Like we have a kid that I've been working with for a couple years in high school. He played at Du Bois High School. They in Pennsylvania. They ended up going to the finals, state finals, and he pitched the game in the finals and did really well. Like he just had this crazy run in the playoffs, and he had a phenomenal season, like regular season as well. His name's Noah Farrell, but he's 90 to 93. He's topping 94, touching 95 once in a while. And I was just like this, and he's a good kid. Like he's a freaking phenomenal kid. I say all the time, like I hope my younger sons grow up and are half the person that this kid is, because he's just
Oh,
like a
that's
really
awesome.
good kid. And he did not get drafted. And I'm just like, what is happening? And I know there's only 20 rounds now, and he's going to UConn. So, maybe signability they thought was an issue or something like that. But I just sit there and go like, man, this is like the kid you would want in your freaking organization, and nobody like drafted him. Like what's going on right now? So I know the draft can be weird. Um,
Weird.
and back then there were no round limits, I mean, people were getting drafted in the 90th round. So I don't know what happened. I would love to know, but it worked out the way it did, and um, ended up going to Duquesne and had a great year there and got drafted by the Pirates. So I I'm not I like watching college baseball now. Um, I was super excited to get into pro ball because I didn't like the student athlete part of it. I didn't like the student part.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. I understand completely.
it's
Yeah,
that's freaking hard, man. Like when you're in
yeah,
college and you still have to be a student, and maybe you slack a little bit or whatever, but that's so freaking hard. Like once I got into pro ball and could just concentrate strictly on baseball, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm where I should be.
yeah,
Like I don't
yeah.
have to worry about my Spanish test tomorrow, or, you know, come up and talk to the teachers because I missed like the last 5 classes, and maybe
Hmm.
4 of them were because of baseball and the other was because I just didn't feel like going. Uh, and I got to come up with some kind of excuse of why I
Oh
wasn't
yeah,
there. So
oh yeah,
I didn't miss that part. I liked, in college it's different too, with the camaraderie with the players and stuff. And, um, you see a lot of guys from a lot of different places and a lot of different backgrounds, similar to the pro side of things, but they're not as good, you know?
yeah,
So
yeah. No doubt.
you get those guys that you're like, man, this dude is just a freaking maniac, and he loves college baseball. Like he lives and dies for it, because one, he's not as good, as he could be, but also like he's doing everything he can to be out there. And I remember in junior college we had this kid, he was like missing a front tooth. Uh just a freaking crazy dude, like, and you see those guys in pro ball as well, but college there's just more of them, I guess.
Yeah, the dude with the missing front tooth. I love it. So I want to talk about your guy that went to UConn for just a minute and how the draft has
Yeah.
changed before you get into your draft story. So they went from a gazillion rounds down to 60, down to 20 now. What's your thought process on it? Because it is wild. They spend all this time. I just did the combine. Spend all this time with these top, I guess, 100 prospects. I would say top 150. They sit meetings, they do psych evals, they do all this stuff. I think that's more important on the back end, right? Like your
Yeah.
guy, you're saying, hey, this guy is a phenomenal kid. He works his tail off. He's gone from X to X. He's really grown. I feel like those guys get lost constantly, even at the college side. Have you seen that a lot in what you're doing now in training the kids? And what are you trying to do to combat it to help these kids be seen more, to be noticed more, to have more opportunities? Because this area in general is tough.
Yeah, you know, I don't like the fact that they're down to 20 rounds. I just
Yeah.
think, um, I mean, you got somebody like Mike Piazza, right? Who has the most home runs of any catcher of all time, wouldn't even get drafted today. And he wouldn't have got, I mean, he was drafted super late. So he's like an exception to the rule. But so many guys that I played with that were drafted late, not in the, but not even close to the top 20 rounds by any means. Um, it's just sad that they wouldn't have the opportunity. And I know there's more opportunities in like indie ball and stuff like that, but that's not the same. And I
Yeah.
understand also that, there's a lot of minor league teams and there's a lot of players that have zero chance of making the big leagues. Like you think just because you get drafted and you're playing in the minor leagues, you have a chance. And unfortunately, that is not the case. I mean, there are just guys that um, I've watched them, produce and they just never got moved up because everyone, the scouts and the front offices are just like, well, yeah, he's good in like A ball, but he wouldn't be good in the big leagues. It's like, well, how do you know that?
Yeah,
He's doing
exactly.
well now. If
How
you
do you
keep
know that?
moving, you
Yeah.
keep producing at every single level, why wouldn't you keep giving him a chance? And we both seen those guys that they're like the 4A player where
Hmm.
they're really good in AAA. And then they're like, well, yeah, he's good at AAA. He's a AAA player, but couldn't do it in the big leagues. And if you give him a chance, they probably could. I feel like for myself, I was the complete opposite. I was a terrible like minor league player. Like when I was in AAA, I needed the rush and the adrenaline of being in the big leagues. Like I felt like that made me better. And not everybody's like that. Some people like being comfortable, and that's why they perform in AAA because there's not as many fans, there's not as much pressure. I always liked that pressure and loved, if there's 50,000 people in the stands, I'm probably going to pitch pretty well. It's just the way I was wired. But um, yeah, so going back to that question, I mean, the guys that we train, we try to prepare, obviously physically, that's super important, right? You got to have like certain metrics. You got to be able to, if you're a pitcher, unfortunately, you're not going to get drafted if you throw 90 miles an hour. I mean, now it's like if you throw 95, you're probably not going to get drafted. So we try to prepare them physically and get them to the level that they need to be. But then also, um, a lot of people do not realize how mentally draining the game is and
Hmm.
how mentally strong you have to be to be successful at just the game of baseball, because there's a lot of failure involved. And if you can't handle that failure and continue to keep moving forward and move on, you're gonna have a really hard time. I feel like you're gonna have a hard time in life in general, but baseball is just every single day is just kicking you in the freaking teeth. Even you have a great day, right? You have phenomenal game, and then the next day you got to do it again. There's like you can't look back, and it's one of those things. Somebody has 4 hits, or they hit a bunch of home runs, or we were just in Pittsburgh when O'Hearn had the 3 homers and 10 RBIs. That's super awesome
What a
for
game to
that
go
day.
to, by the way.
Oh,
Yeah.
it was phenomenal. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was funny
That one of the best
because
games in
before
history.
the game, yeah, before the game we were on the field and he like threw my son Bo, who's 4, threw him his batting,
That's
and
why he hit the 3 homers. No question. Good karma.
absolutely, absolutely. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
man, he needs to put our son on payroll or something to be his
Yeah.
good
No
luck
doubt.
charm.
No doubt. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you talk to him,
I
we can
will. I
work
will.
something out. But
Yeah.
yeah, so he hits those 3 homers, and I was like, I'm pretty sure that's the guy that threw Bo the batting glove. So then I look at the batting gloves and it says like RPO. I thought it said pro underneath, like right here.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and it said RPO. And I was like, what is RPO? And so I looked up his name like on the internet, and it's like Ryan Preston or something, O'Hearn. I don't know. I can't
Oh,
remember what his middle name is, but his middle name starts with a P. So I'm like, oh yeah, that's his initials. Cool. Um, but yeah, that was super awesome. Great game
mhm.
to go to. But he has a game like that, right? And it's super cool for that day and that night. And maybe, at the end of the season, you kind of look back and go, oh, remember when I did that? That's pretty freaking awesome. But the next day, like you have to come in and you might go 0 for 4 with 4 punch outs. You know
He
what I
was one
mean?
for four.
So it's
It's
just,
funny.
you have
Yeah.
to be able
Yeah.
to
No doubt.
handle, it's a old saying, you can't get too high or get too low, but um, yeah, you've got to be able to just put that away when you do it well and move on to the next day and can hopefully continue what you were successful at. But also things can just they can turn sideways quick in baseball. And then you've got to be able to turn it around the next day after that. And, it's easier said than done, but you're hoping when things are going well, you're like stacking those days. And when things go wrong, you want to turn it around as quickly as possible. And that's what I always talk to the guys about is you can't base what you're doing off of the result, because I feel like a lot of times in baseball, you can do every single thing right and you get a bad result. You might, if you're a hitter, you might hit 4 balls right on the freaking screws at somebody. And you can't leave that game going, oh man, I sucked today. It's like, no, you didn't. Like you did everything that you should have. You just had bad luck or had a bad result.
Mhm.
Same thing with pitching. I mean, you can make a pitch, freaking make your pitch down and away, or, you know, throw a breaking ball like a couple inches off the dirt and they swing and jam themselves, or, hit a flare over somebody's head and a couple runs score. And then vice versa, you can throw a ball right down the middle and it gets crushed and somebody freaking catches it. So my big thing is, on those days that happens where you get a good result and you might not have been very good that day, you can't leave that game going like, I mean, you can sit there and go like, yes, I got
Yeah.
away with it. Like I got a good result. Like that's great. The name of the game is results, right? But if you take that into the next game and you don't make any adjustments, I can guarantee you through the course of 162 games, you're not going to have a good year. But if you make your pitches and you're giving up a flare here and there and give up a couple runs, but if you leave that game and go like, hey, I'm fine. All right. If I keep doing this, I'm gonna be successful. So just realizing where you're at, what you're doing. So that's kind of one of the things we try and teach is, you know, just you can care about the results, but you should worry more about your process, worry about what you're doing. Um, and, because the game is played for so many games, if you do continue to do that through the course of, 70 game season, 120 game season, 162 game season in the big leagues, you're going to be successful.
It's special. It's a special city, special fans.
This game wouldn't be nearly as exciting without the fans. It's why we do what we do.
Well, what vibes they've got going here at PNC Park.
Let's go, baby.
This team has a much different feel about it.
Yeah, I mean, we got a lot of ball players, a lot of gritty, dirtbag ball players that are going to do whatever it takes to win.
Look, they all get it. Just the constant positivity.
You see the energy? These guys are having a blast.
Electric environment. It's just been great to watch. Fun to watch.
Let's go, Bucs.
Beimel, one thing, so we'll go to 98. You get drafted by the Pirates. 2001, you make your debut. I want to start there, but then I want to get into how you kind of left no stone unturned in your career. Reinvented yourself a couple different times. Tommy John, one of your best seasons, probably your 37-year-old season with Seattle. I don't think people realize, like, you tried every implement. You did everything you possibly could to try to figure out how can I better myself. And you didn't just trust people. You actually did it. And I want to get into that after you tell your story about getting drafted, working through the minor leagues. You did it pretty fast. And then your first season happens to be at PNC, which is pretty sick.
Yeah. Yeah. I got drafted in 98, like went to Duquesne, and I had a pretty good idea I was going to get drafted that year. Had been talking with the Pirates, and, they'd come watch me pitch a bunch. And I went to one of their pre-draft workouts and then went to another pre-draft workout. So I had a pretty good idea that was going to happen at some point. I came home and in the summer and was actually playing in I talked about the Federation League. That's like a big league around where I live, but it's all like older dudes. There aren't a lot of college guys that are playing in it. It's more like, 30, 40-year-olds that still want to play baseball. But I ended up coming home and playing in that league. And, back then they just like called the house. There was no internet. There was no, I guess the internet was a thing at that point, but nobody used it. Send some emails once in a while.
Yeah, you had to dial up.
But yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Made that weird noise.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so I was actually playing in a game and they called my house, and I think my mom took the phone call. And it had already happened. I had already been drafted my freshman year, like I said, but I was super pumped because I grew up a Pirate fan. The only big league games, I think I'd gone to one Giants game like back in 1985 or something. I was out there for my brother's wedding. But really the only, pro games that I'd gone to were Pirate games at Three Rivers. And it was just unreal to get drafted by your, the team you grew up rooting for. And I was just ready to get started. I knew I was going to sign. I think my GPA at Duquesne was so low that I would have had to go to summer school if I wanted to go back.
So you burned the boats.
Yeah, I did. I really did. I did not like school. And then when it was baseball season, like as far as going to class, I just wasn't doing it. So my grades reflected that. And I just knew if I got drafted, I was going to sign regardless. So end up signing, with the Pirates, and I was very blessed and fortunate because, short season A-ball was in Erie when I was there. So that's the first place I went was Erie. And that's, 2 hours from where I grew up.
So sick.
And then I played in Hickory in 99 and Lynchburg, Virginia in 2000. And then halfway through the year, I get called up and go to Altoona, which is like an hour and 30 minutes from my house. So I was very fortunate to kind of play on the East Coast, and there was nothing like super far from my home. So family, friends, they could all come watch me. It wasn't like I was, going out in the Pioneer League out in Idaho or something. So, that was a great experience for me, just being able to play in those places, especially right out the gates. Like I went to Erie, and my sister, she lives in Meadville, Pennsylvania. So I just lived with her because it was like an hour from the stadium.
And we got paid nothing. So that's huge.
Oh yeah. I think I made $850 a month my first year.
You're rolling.
And I think like it went up to 1,100 or something my second year. And
Yeah.
I tell this story all the time. In 2000, I remember looking at like my tax return, and I think I cleared like $5,000 for the season. And then my
It's
first check
so
in the
criminal,
big leagues,
dude. It's so criminal.
my first check in the big leagues, I think for 2 weeks, I got like 10, I cleared like 10 grand. And the minimum then was only 200,000. It's not like it is now. So I say only, that's good money, but way different than it is now.
Yeah, it's at 790, I think. Yeah. Oops.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of crazy.
Crazy.
But just seeing that, I was like, oh my gosh. And then, when you get called up to the big leagues, because I had like those bonuses, like if you went to AA for long enough, you got a bonus. If you went AAA.
Yeah. Do you know how those work, by the way? It takes away your scholarship money to go back to school. I didn't realize it. I just went back to school, finished my degree recently, and I was like, oh, I'm going to see if I have my money left. It was all gone. It was like, nope, sorry, it's gone. I was like, huh? Yeah, so that's where it came from.
See, I never used
I didn't see that part of the contract.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. I didn't go back to school. Like we talked just a little bit ago, there's no chance I would ever go back to school because I didn't like it. But
yeah, fair enough.
I had that as well. And it was funny because when we were like negotiating, like I didn't have an agent or anything. It was just like me and my dad talking to the Pirates. And I think they gave me 20 grand for my last year of school, which at the time, like Duquesne was super expensive, and 20 grand for a year of college was insane.
Yeah.
So they gave me 20 grand for school, and I think I got like a $10,000 signing bonus, drafted in the 18th round. And I was like, well, can we get some of that school money moved to like, because I knew there's no chance I was ever going back to school.
Yeah.
But they're like, no. Yeah. You guys have done your homework. Like, I'm not going to use that.
Oh yeah.
That's why you're giving
They know
it
what
to
they're
me.
doing. Exactly. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you get the call 2001. I'm guessing, were you in Altoona when you got called up, or where were you?
No. So I got put on the 40 man. So I pitched, I think, like 10 games in Altoona in 2000 and pitched pretty well. But one of the big things was our last game of the year we were playing, and it was a scenario where if we won, we were in the playoffs. If we lost, we went home. And so I started that game, and, all the brass is there. Cam Bonifay was the GM at the time. He's in the stands, assistant general manager, scouts, pitching coordinator, like everybody's there. And I end up striking out like the first 11 of 12 batters I faced.
Whoops.
So I just had like this crazy game, like perfect time to have like the best game of my minor league career. And, I think they liked me before that, but I think that game kind of put me on the map with them, and went into the off season and got put on the 40-man roster. And then, Lloyd McClendon gets the manager's job for 2001, and he has like a mini camp in January. So everybody on the 40-man has to go down to Bradenton, and, it was just kind of like the first time they had done something like that. So we go down, and, you get to know, like, I'm first year 40-man guy. I get to know like all the veteran guys in the big leagues, Jason Kendall, Giles, Kevin Young, Mike Williams was the closer at the time. So get to really like know all these guys. And then because I lived where I live now in Kersey, but I lived in Pennsylvania, so the closest airport's Pittsburgh. It's like a 2.5 hour drive from my house to the airport. So I'm flying back to Pittsburgh, and I'm on the same flight with Lloyd McClendon, and I'm sitting next to him, and he goes, hey, what's your goals for this year, for this coming season? And I said, well, my biggest goal is I want to make your team out of spring training. And he just, first year 40-man guy, that's not supposed to happen. You're just, you get a little cup of coffee in spring training, and then you get sent down, and, maybe you get called up that year, but probably not. So he just kind of looked at me and was like, what? Like, what the hell is this kid talking about?
Yeah. You crazy?
And I was like, I think I can make your team. I think I can help the pitching staff, and I think for him, like, he just saw that confidence, and not to say like he was like, oh, I'm going to like keep this kid, but I think it just kind of like shocked him enough that when we went into spring training, he's like, this freaking kid thinks he's going to make the team out of spring training. But then he paid attention to me, And then I had a good spring, and, you know, a couple things happened. A couple guys got hurt. And next thing you know, I'm still standing there at the end of spring training when guys are getting cut, getting released. And I made the team out of spring training. So
Let's go.
you know, just, yeah, it was phenomenal. Although funny story is I end up like calling my parents, you know, and telling them, hey, I made the team, whatever. So for me, young kid, the way I'm going to celebrate is I'm going to go to Taco Bell and get some tacos. I'm going to get some beer, and I'm going to, I think WrestleMania was on at the time. So I'm like,
What
I'm
a
going to
great
freaking
day.
watch WrestleMania, drink a couple beers, eat some freaking tacos. And I ended up like getting tacos with like sour cream on them and threw up the entire night. Like, got sick, couldn't even watch wrestling. I
Oh
was
no.
like, it's like 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm just like puking in the bathroom. Freaking brutal. Like, that's what I remember about finding out that I made the big league team out of spring training.
So incredible high and
not the
incredible low
greatest.
all at the same time. Yeah.
Oh,
That stinks.
absolutely. Absolutely. There's nothing
calling the
worse than
dinosaurs.
having like food poisoning.
Oh, that's awful. Yeah. When's the next time you went back to Taco Bell? Just curious.
I have never been back since. So I've not had Taco Bell since 2001.
You're welcome, Taco
Yeah,
Bell. What an
it
endorsement
was
we
that
just
bad.
gave them. Yeah. It
Yeah,
sounds
sorry.
bad. Yeah. No, you're
I've
good.
heard that they're like pretty good now. I don't know.
Well, if you
But
go, I
wouldn't
want to know
because
about it.
I won't eat it. Yeah.
Never? Nothing. No way.
Yeah, probably not. Probably not.
Probably not. Probably not. All right. So you make team out of camp. You get released in 03, right? Or after 03 season. Is that
04.
correct? 04.
04.
Right?
Yeah.
Now walk us through 04 to get into LA. Because you did some things different. You came back a little bit different. Just talk a little bit about that. Because I think you became Joe Beimel in LA.
Yeah, for sure. So one big thing, 2004, I went into spring training with the Pirates, and they kind of wanted me to start dropping down, you know, like not all the time, not like be sidearm, but they wanted me to, you know, I played with the guy, Scott Sauerbeck, who recently passed away, like last year. But he was a good mentor for me as a lefty out of the pen, and he'd switch his arm angle all the time. So he'd throw, you know, sidearm, he'd throw over the top. He had a great curveball. And then he'd throw one from here. So they kind of wanted me to adopt that and really work on that in spring training. So Kent Colvey was in spring training. I was working with him, you know, throwing sidearm. So a lot of games, they just wanted me to strictly throw sidearm to like work on it. And I'm thinking, yeah, that's fine. Like, I'll do that. I'll work on this stuff, and, you know, I'm going to be on the team, whatever. And I end up like hurting my back because I'm like dropping down. I'd never done it before. So back spasmed up on me, and then I missed a bunch of games. And my thought process is like, hey, I got to be ready for opening day. So, you know, I want to get my back right. And as soon as I was healthy, they're like, hey, just to let you know, like, you should be healthy because we're going to evaluate you on these next few games if you're going to make the team or not. And I'm like, wait, what? I said, are you guys freaking kidding me? Like, I'm doing this sidearm crap because you wanted me to. You told me I had all spring to work on it, and now you're saying like I'm probably not going to make the team because, you know, I haven't had a good spring. So at the end of the day, like, it was a good move on their part because I wasn't very good the year before, and that's one of my saddest things as a pro is I was never a good Pirate. You know, I grew up like rooting for them and loved the Pirates, and I just never put together like a good season as a Pirate, and I was there for 4 years. And then when I came back in 2011, I was like, this is finally going to be the year I'm going to have a good year as a Pirate. And then I got hurt that year. And So anyways, 2004, I get released. And as you know, the first time you get released is tough. You know, I ended up getting released 7 times. So by the end, I was just like, who cares? You know, not who cares, but like, there's going to be another opportunity. The first time I was like, I'm going to be a Pirate my whole career, you know, had these delusions that I was going to play 20 years as a Pirate, but obviously that doesn't happen, especially your left-handed reliever. Like, you better be willing to travel. But yeah, I ended up kind of taking it pretty hard and ended up signing with the Twins. And I had never been to AAA before, right? So 2000, I was in AA, made the team out of spring training. 2001, I had never pitched in AAA. So I signed with the Twins. I go to Rochester, New York, and I'm like, I'm going to be here for, a couple weeks till I get enough innings, and then I'll be in the big leagues. Well, I went to AAA and freaking just got my teeth kicked in like the entire year. It was the worst year professionally. I think the last game of the season, I threw like a scoreless inning and got my ERA under like a 7. And that's hard to do. I mean, it was like 40 or 50 games, so it wasn't like it was just a couple of games here and there. I was just that bad like the whole season. But through the course of that, I was doing different things. So I always had like a real long like arm. And I was never like, I'd be out there even in the big leagues my first 3 years because I was so long, like my timing was just always off. So there'd be games I'd be throwing as hard as I could and it'd be 88. And, a couple pitches later, it'd be 96. I would be throwing 88 and 96 in the same game and throwing as hard as I could on all of them. So I just didn't have that consistency, was young. And when I went to when I went to Rochester, I really worked on kind of shortening my arm action, and it was just more on time. But it was something I was getting used to, so the results on the field were completely terrible. And then I had a pitching coach there that was helping me with it. But if I gave up runs, and we talked about this earlier, you can't always focus on the result. If I gave up any runs, the next day we were like working on mechanics. So it was a frustrating year. And then by the end of the year, I actually was talking to a guy, a former teammate with the Pirates, Brian Bowringer. And he goes, man, just go out there. And he's like, act like you're in the backyard playing wiffle ball. Like, go out there, have fun. He's like, drop down once in a while if you want to. Like, just go out and enjoy yourself. Because like you're putting way too much pressure on yourself to get back to the big league. So I went out there the last month of the season in Rochester, did that, and just had a blast. Like, fell back in love with the game, fell back in love with pitching, and I had a phenomenal month. Like I finished, like I said, finished the year last out, got me under a 7 ERA, I think, and I ended up getting called up in September because I had such a good August. And then I went up and was terrible in the couple of games that I pitched up there. But I left that season like, hey, I love the game. Like, I know I can do this now. I was kind of over getting released because at the end of that season, I got released again. And, was just able to kind of put that year behind me and go into the next one.
And then you end up in LA in 2006. Talk about that. Yeah. I think you figured out your arm slot, the mechanic cleaned up, because this is where you really made your run for me. To where you really established yourself, sure. Starting first big contract, all of it.
Yeah. So 2005, I was with the Devil Rays, Devil Rays at the time. That's how old I am. They were the Devil Rays back then.
You are so old.
Not just the Rays. Yeah. So old. Holy crap. But yeah, so I was there and I had a pitching coach there in AAA named Joe Coleman, and I was throwing pretty well. I was in Durham and throwing okay, but still like a little inconsistent. He just said like, hey, like, why don't you try like turning at the top of your delivery just to kind of hide the ball?
which is so
He's
sick.
like, I think it'll help with your timing. You know, you'll guys won't see the ball out of your hand as well. And I was just like, yep, I'll do it. I'll do it tonight. I'll do it tonight in the game. Like I did a couple like warming up. And then like from that day on, I started, you know, coming up and kind of turning and took off from there and just developed my confidence in Durham. So I was kind of up and down that year from Tampa to Durham. But with that being said, like I knew I could pitch in the big leagues now. Like I just needed that opportunity. So I signed with LA in 2006, went into spring training, had a phenomenal spring training, like really good. And then still got sent to Vegas after that. You know, I was in the meeting when they were sending me down, and I'm just like, yeah, I mean, there's nothing else that I could have done to make this team. So I'm not really worried about it. I'll just go down there and continue what I'm doing. So I went to Vegas, had a great first month, and then got called up. And I felt one of the reasons, you know, I had like my mechanics figured out. I was consistent. My confidence was like through the roof. I just knew I was going to get the job done every time I went out there. And if you didn't believe me, I would tell you, you know, like I was very vocal about different things, like saying things out loud that you're not supposed to say, or like the baseball gods will strike you down. But I'd be like, yeah, I'll probably go like 30 or 40 scoreless innings in a row, you know, say things like that, where people are like, what? And if you didn't know me, you'd think it was like super douchey to say things like that. But I was saying it in like kind of a joking manner too, but also very serious.
Yeah, for sure.
But I always loved that. And I felt like people could feed off of that. So I ended up going there and was just in an organization that wanted to win, you know, the year before with Tampa. I was pitching well, but I kept getting sent down because they had guys that, you know, at that time weren't pitching well, but they had guaranteed contracts. So they weren't going to release somebody with a guaranteed contract. But LA, they would, you know, they wanted to win. So I knew if I pitched well, I was going to get called up. And I knew if I pitched well when I was there, I was going to stay. And that's kind of what happened. So I hadn't spent a lot of time in LA or in California in general. But once I was out there, you know, I just fell in love with the Dodger culture, the stadium, the fans, phenomenal. You know, it's easy to get up for a game when it's a random Tuesday and there's 45,000 people at the stadium, you know, and that was something I had never experienced before. So with having all of those things, you know, being a good spot in my career, and then being able to go out there and just kind of feed off of that energy. And when you're in LA and you're a Dodger, and I'm sure it's even crazier now, it's just pretty awesome. You know, you have, you go to like a restaurant, or you go to a bar, or you go anywhere, and people know you're a Dodger, and you know, they treat you really well. So it was just a really cool experience for me. And I was able to have success out there, and you know, that is absolutely where I kind of turned my career around.
So in 2007, you had 83 appearances. That's a Dodger record out of the bullpen?
Yeah, in 2007. So I had
83 appearances, dude.
Yeah.
83. That's every other game.
You know,
plus.
what's funny about that is I never pitched more than 3 days in a row. Early in my career, there was like, when I was with the Pirates, I think in 2003, I was having a pretty decent season. And there was a streak where I went like I was up or in the game like 21 out of 23 days. And
dude, that's the one thing
I
have to say real quick.
Off days.
Say that about you. I'll never forget when I pulled up in Colorado, and every time the phone rang, you were the first guy up.
Yeah.
Every time for a month straight. I'm like, it'd ring, it'd be like, Bet Beimel gets up, and sure enough, boom, Beimel, whap, 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 you're ready to go. Sit back down. You go in 2 innings later. It was every day, dude. I'm like, does Hurdle just have a knack to say, Joe Beimel, Joe Beimel? That's all he could say. It
Yeah.
was wild. I'd never seen anything like it. It's my first time in the big leagues. I'm just watching. I'm like, what? So it does not surprise me to see 21 out of 25 with 2 off days. Not surprised at all.
Yeah. Yeah. So after that streak, I kind of made, I was talking with some veteran guys, and they're like, you cannot let them do that to you. Like, you got to look out for yourself. Like, it's one thing to be like a team player, but you're not helping the team by doing that. So I ended up, after that year, kind of made rules for myself that if I would pitch 3 days in a row, but then I would need an off day, and I would go to the manager and say, like, hey, I need a day. And I got very vocal about that and not afraid to say, like, tell the manager, tell the pitching coach,
Yeah.
hey, I can't go today. And even it didn't have to be 3 days in a row. It could be, maybe you pitch 5 out of 7 or something like that. And if I just wasn't feeling good, I was going to let them know. And that year when I pitched 83 games, I never pitched more than 3 games in a row. But also, I missed like a week because I don't know if it was a week. I ended up having like AFib, like my heart was like fluttering, and I was in the hospital for like 3 or 4 days while they were trying to like get it back in rhythm. And it ended up just being like a freak thing. That year I quit drinking, so I wasn't drinking alcohol. That's probably was the issue. But I started drinking, like, because I wasn't drinking alcohol, I was drinking like a ton of freaking caffeine and like energy drinks and stuff like that. So I think that just kind of made my heart go crazy. But they actually had to do, like, they didn't use like the paddles, but same thing. They put one on my chest and on my back. They did like the clear to shock it like back into rhythm. so
It's
I
wild.
actually had like, I woke up and I had like burn marks on my chest and on my back from the things that they used, but never had a problem with it after that. But I did miss like some time that year. And then I had like a little back issue where I think I missed a couple days. So I probably could have been way more games. But yeah, I mean, I was just ready to go every single day. And it was funny because Tom Martin, who has become a good friend of mine, he was with the Pirates, and he set like the lefty record for most appearances like a few years earlier at like 80. And I didn't know him at the time, but then I break his record with like 83, and then got to be friends with him after. But I give him crap all the time because he's just like, man, that's literally the only record I had and that I will ever have. And then you come along and freaking break it. Like, what a jerk, But I give him crap all the time because they gave me a bobblehead. I had like a fan voted bobblehead when I was with the Dodgers, and on the box it's got like Joe Beimel #1, 83 appearances, and it's got Tom Martin #2, 80. So I like randomly will just send him a picture of that or like a video of me holding it. Just to give him some crap. But yeah, it's
that's
a lot
outstanding.
of games. Yeah, it was a good time.
Hey.
Like I was just wanted to be that guy, that was ready every day and prepared myself to do it. And, if you gave me the ball, I was going to take it.
Dude, there's no question in my mind. You're one of the best teammates I had, even though it was just a short stint. Really appreciated it. I am going to cut this off this time, but would you come back? Because I want to talk about the second half of your career. And then I also want to talk about how you're training guys. I'm really interested in that. But I don't want to hold you up all day. And my dog is barking like crazy to go on a walk. I owe him one. And my wife's out of town. So, dude, I appreciate everything. It's been phenomenal. I can't wait to hear more of your story. I've heard a lot of it, but I haven't heard some of it. And it's just so interesting.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Anytime you want. I love doing this kind of thing, and love talking to old teammates, and
yeah,
You know, one thing we didn't bring up is the sports guy chest bump. You remember that? Like in Colorado?
I do, yeah.
We do
Yeah.
sports. I'd go to like everybody in the dugout and do like I can't remember what show I was watching. Maybe it was like Modern Family or something.
Dude, you would hammer it
Yeah,
too.
I
It
think
wouldn't
it's
be
like
easy, but boom.
Yeah, sports guy chest bump.
Yeah.
And you would like jump in the air and do like a starfish or something.
Yeah, like a squirrel. Yeah,
So,
every time.
Yeah, flying
Yeah.
squirrel.
Maybe I can find a picture of that. Yeah. Yeah, because you were so much bigger than me, so I'd just be like, ah.
Yeah, I think I might have a picture of it. I have to look through my phone.
If you do, you
but
gotta
I think
send
I
it to
do
me.
have a picture of you like in the air, like sideways, arms and legs.
Yeah, one thing I've never changed.
But yeah,
I'm
man,
the same guy.
anytime.
Awesome. Well, hey, really appreciate it. You're the absolute man. I would go to war for you anytime. I'd be your Huckleberry anytime. I tell that to people all the time. If I had to pick a couple people to go to war with, you'd definitely be one of them because your competitiveness. And that doesn't matter if you're wrestling, pitching, even if you're playing bongo ball or whatever, it doesn't matter. You are going to try to win, and dude, that attribute is the best out of any teammate. So I appreciate that. I know the fans appreciate that, and that's why you threw 83 times in LA and probably got up 180 times in LA. That's the reality.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you a lot.
Well, appreciate that, man. Yeah, that means a lot. But thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, keep doing what you're doing. Everybody, please like, subscribe, watch this episode with Joe B. We're going to come back with another one here shortly, but he's absolute, man. Thank you again. Thank you, Belsky, and we'll talk to you soon.